You are now listening to the Pure Gold Business Podcast, the show built for business owners who are serious about doing the work, the real work, of building something that lasts. Every week, we bring you straight talk on the systems, the strategy, and the mindset shifts that separate businesses that struggle from businesses that scale. I'm your host, Angelo Cottingham, founder of Pure Gold Business Solutions. And whether we're going deep on a concept, sitting down with a fellow business owner, or working through your challenges live on air, one thing stays the same. You're going to leave this show with something you can use. So grab a pen, grab a notepad, and get ready for today's show. All right, Will. So thank you, first of all, for being on the show. You know how much I appreciate you being on here. We go way back, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So tell me a little bit about your business. Take me back to 2020. You had gotten laid off in the middle of the pandemic. What was going on in your head in that moment?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks so much, Angelo, for having me on the podcast. So a little bit about me. Back in 2020, we were all hit by the pandemic and it affected a lot of us in a lot of different ways. But primarily for me, I was going to classes. I was really just getting started in my career and everything just came to an abrupt stop. And it really was frustrating because I felt like I had a lot of momentum, but that just stopped out of nowhere. But it gave me a lot more time to kind of reflect and think through like what actually is next for me and why am I doing it. So at that time, I got into the workforce. I ended up working at a pretty large organization, and it was a good fit, but also like it wasn't a good fit. Maybe after a year, because I'm like this structure of the 9 to 5 world is just not comfortable for me. And that's when I kind of just growing a little bit of curiosity, not really taking action just yet. But I was definitely just thinking like, what else potentially is outside of this for me? And what does that mean? So I would say in 2020, I really just grew a lot of curiosity and just kind of thinking outside of what was already paved or carved out for me as a career structure.
Okay, I feel the 9 to 5, because I mean that's everyone I've talked to. That's typically how the journey starts. I know for me, that's how I started. Curiosity, and then curiosity turns to you looking a little bit, and then you looking a little bit turns into falling down a rabbit hole for like the next 5 years of your life.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's kind of how it was for me. So I want to say like the curiosity started in 2020, but I really didn't get into the thick of things of like actually figuring out what I wanted to do until 2023. So it was interesting. So the name of my company is Liaison Community Management. And I first started off as a cleaning company, actually. So I thought that I was going to be cleaning like Airbnbs. I seen other people do it like on YouTube, etc. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Like I used to take cleaning jobs when I was in undergrad in college. So I just felt like it was like a skill, something that I can go into and meet the demand right away. And that really wasn't the case for me. So originally, I started off as a cleaning business, but now I'm online services. But I think it just goes to show that you kind of just have to go for it and figure it out, because most companies really start off as one thing and they end up just being a completely different.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
right.
100%. Even if they stay in the same industry, what they ultimately end up offering could still be very different from what they thought of in the inception.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so you did touch on this a little bit. So when did the idea for liaison community management actually hit you, like in the context of switching from cleaning to online services?
Yeah, so it's really interesting how this came about. So when the concept really came to me, and I guess I had like the light bulb moment of clarity, was I was looking for an online space where people came together who were just getting started in their cleaning journey of starting their own cleaning business.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this content creator's YouTuber. She was given all these gems. She had so many like different videos, but she also had in her description an online community space. And this is where I was really introduced to the idea of like online community and coming together. But I still didn't know like, oh, this is going to be like a business for me. Like this is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I was still seeking just like that community, that support, right? So I joined, and I remember she was also offering the owner of the space. She was offering like one-on-one sessions for like a few $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I met with her twice because I was really like invested and really trying to learn directly from her because she had done it successfully and really proven that online. So I met with her the second time around. The first time was great. Second time around was when I really had my clarity light bulb moment where we're sitting on this call and she's like just distracted. Like she keeps like we're talking on a Zoom call and she keeps like looking away, like she's clicking around doing. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm just this community is just growing so much. Like I can't really keep up with it. Like it's driving me. And I'm like, I got silent for a minute and I was like, oh, I was like, I can help you with that. Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what drawn me to say that to be honest. Um, but I told her I could help her with it, and she kind of lit up. She was like, "Oh, really? Like, what is? Yeah." So nothing really came out of it. We had another conversation, but I think it was one proof of concept that the way her response that she expressed like interest in me helping her showed like, okay, this is a need, it's meeting a need, and then two, you know, a little going back a little bit, my background is in like community building, so working with nonprofit organizations and doing events and etc. like that. So the
Yeah.
skills were really just transferable, and it really just went from like in-person stuff to online stuff. So that's where in 2023, when I after I had that conversation, I've been working at it ever since, and I haven't stopped.
Well, I'm very happy for you. That's awesome. I feel that so much because my story was very similar. I'll go through it real quick because everyone who's been listening to the podcast has heard me say it 100 times already. Um, Merch Monarch clothing business. I did make a little bit of money, and I was like, okay, I learned from that. Okay, if I can set up something that is easy, repeatable, and scalable, something that can be done over and over and over again, and I can take myself out of it. That's the key. But then when you figure that out, there's so many ways you can really go about that. And in the early days, especially like how you were saying you were curious, all those different ideas that are swirling around in your head at the same time, and you got everything else that you're trying to do. What was the hardest part of those early days that like nobody saw? Like, was it like figuring out how you were going to take care of people all the time, every time? Was there like any type of documentation process or anything? Like, and if you did that, was that like
Yeah.
difficult?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. And I think this answer is gonna like be not what the audience or what most people expect. It really wasn't like the tactical part of the business. Like I didn't know really what I was doing. Like I knew to open up a Google Doc and just start brainstorming all those things. Um, but I feel like the biggest thing I had to understand in the early days was I had to have a mindset shift around what I was getting myself into. And I had to really develop a sense of like patience and willingness of just being able to learn. And it's really a path of entrepreneurship, especially in those early stages. If you're like super new and you're running a startup or taking over, it's really character building in the early
Yeah.
stages.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So I just really had to learn like, okay, I'm working on the business, but at the same time, the business is working on me. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I'm year like 4 now, year 3 or 4 now doing this, and I still have those moments where I'm like, oh, this business is working on me right now. Like I have to become the expert in this space, or I need to do this over and over again until I
Yeah.
get it right. So that was something that really, even nowadays, it sticks to me. But that was something in the beginning I would say that was really prominent of just like this is the new identity that you kind of have to take on as you're like building something bigger than myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that imposter syndrome is so real. I know I had
absolutely.
that
Yep.
because I spent so much money and so much time learning from so many people that were doing a lot better than me in life. Like, I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars to sit in virtual rooms with millionaires and billionaires to figure out, like, what do you do to get where you're at? A lot of what they tell you before they even talk about business strategy is you have to really change the way you look at
Yep.
things in your life and how you approach things in your life, personally and professionally. So a lot of that comes with, you're learning these new things and you need to charge. You look up because I always tell people you should do market research on what you're looking for, figure out what people are looking for. But what happens is you look at what people are looking for, you see how much they charge for that. And then some people will go, I have no business doing that when they really begin to understand what that looks like. But was there ever a moment where you had that moment of, I have no business doing this? And if
Yeah.
you did, what was that like? And how did you get past that?
I mean, yeah, so I feel like it's just character development. Like again, now I still like very transparently because I really want your audience and whoever's listening to this to relate and really like you're not alone, right? Like we still
Yeah.
go through these things. Um, but I think the more you do something, the more you really become it. So you can say all day, like, oh, I do XYZ, but you never do it. So let's say, for example, you want to be like a fit person and you say you're a gymnast. Well, if you're telling me that every single day as your friend, but I never see you go to the gym, I'm not going to believe it. Like our brain simply works the same way. So I really
Yeah.
feel like the more you actually show up and do something scared, unprepared, like literally sweating, that helps kind of rewire that identity that you have within yourself of like,
Yeah.
I still did it, right? Like, and you have to really, again, mindset. So one of the big things is I had to learn is I can't reward wins. Really, I have to reward effort because I can't control outcomes, right? So if I'm
Yeah.
looking for a specific outcome with that I might categorize as a win, that's not realistic. Like in this journey of building your own business, wins are when they hit, they feel really great, but they're not going to happen all the time. And that's one of
Yeah,
the
they're
things
not.
that and that's one of the things I had to really learn now. And even then, it's just like, okay, how can I keep showing up every day? What can I control that I would consider a win? How does that reinforce the identity? Now, I still have moments where I'll get on the phone with like, title heavy people who are like CEOs or I don't know, just big decision makers. And sometimes it does show up, creep up a little bit. But then
Yeah.
also, I think to myself, well, I mean, I'm sitting here in this chair, right? Like, they're
Right.
not going to get on the phone with me if they don't feel like I'm someone that can help them build what they're trying to build. So just small moments, man, that can really reinforce who you are. And even if it doesn't feel good, that's still subconsciously doing something for you.
It does do a lot. Like, I definitely would tell people as the biggest piece of advice, again, is just repetition.
Yes.
The brain has to understand you will not die if you do this and fail. You're
Right.
not going to die. You're not going to fail miserably, and people are going to, like, ha 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 ha, laugh at you. Like, realistically, nobody cares
No one cares.
right away. Nobody cares. Like when you're doing social media and your first 20 to 50 videos are terrible, bro, nobody cares. That's why the videos are quote unquote terrible. And
Nobody's
even if
watching.
you, and so people just, you need to go do what you need to do until you get comfortable. And then once you get comfortable, that's when you're going to start seeing the things that you're looking for. Because now you're starting to accept the identity that you have been conditioning your brain to accept as your current identity. It's so
Exactly.
essential to really get into that state of mind because imposter syndrome is just straight up inexperience. That's all it
Yeah.
is. You,
Exactly.
without saying it, you're just saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out anyway. And
Yeah.
you'll
And
get a
you,
lot further in business with that mindset than being
yes.
like, I'm not ready. I need to be ready. I need to be perfect. I need to be perfect. Dude,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, yeah. You must really fail your way to success. And
Exactly.
for example, like people want Jeff Bezos' lifestyle in terms of money and like the resources he has, but no one wants Jeff Bezos' problems. So,
No.
I
And
mean,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it took that man a very long time, and we all know it was at least 10 years. And one of my favorite quotes through Jeff Bezos is it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So it's just really building and reinforcing every day just by showing up, no matter what happens.
yeah, I understand that. So, so you and I go back to college. So let's talk about that time and what that meant to you in terms of who you've become now.
Um, yeah, man. So yeah, we had some fun times in university. I would have to say at that point in time, I was really still just trying to figure my way, and I was following the path that was like quote unquote already paved for me, which was
Mm-hmm.
fine. Like I feel like that still played a role in where I'm at and who I am now. And I do appreciate it for what it was at the time that it
Yeah.
was happening, right? Like I made some great connections, you and I connected. And we really had fun. Like I feel like we were just in our younger years where that's kind of what you do. And then as we went our own ways, finished, or did something different that worked out better for us. That's kind of what we did. But I think it served its purpose in the moment of just like,
Yeah.
all right, I got the silliness out of me. I got all the immatureness for the most
Yeah,
part.
it really
Yeah,
did get a lot of that out of the system. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, you were there, you knew me, 18-year-old
yeah,
me, 19-year-old me was something else. Bro had a lot to learn.
yeah,
But at the same time, that was so important. That was stuff that had to happen. Like that's the we talked about it earlier, character development. Is there a specific moment or conversation from that time that stuck with you when things got hard in business? Like what did you learn from university that like really helped you like in the last like let's say 90 days?
yeah. I think the biggest thing that I would say from that moment, or just in general context of business, is just to keep showing up. Like I said, like there's more than enough opportunity out here, but that opportunity stops as soon as you stop believing that is there.
Yeah.
And I'm a big quotes guy because I feel like it really helps. I believe it might be Henry Ford that said this, but anyway, it's a great quote. And it goes, he basically says that business is like the public bus stop where there'll be another one in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So once you really like adopt that mindset of just like there'll be another one, like it's okay. Like I'll just learn from this and I'm excited for the next one. Like if you try to have a positive attitude, it won't feel as miserable when you're taking
You
a
would
lot
be very
of L's.
surprised how, in so
Yeah.
many contexts, that piece of advice can really get people out of some serious funk. Yeah. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, dude, it could be a missed deal. It could be, somebody who didn't pay their invoice and you did work for nothing. It could be, if we're going to talk about your personal life, you broke up with your girlfriend or your
Yep.
boyfriend, and you got to accept that they're gone and you got to do what you need to do. Like
Right.
it's not fun, but you got to go through it. It's like if
Yeah.
you were playing a video game, it's like the unskippable
Yeah.
cutscene. Like
Exactly.
it's not fun to watch the unskippable cutscene, but there's a reason why it's unskippable because you got to learn from it. You don't get to just skip over it and act like it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And those are the things that if you take the time and really like accept them for what they are, you can take the character development you're supposed to get from that, and it'll reinforce the identity of I'm someone that's capable. I'm someone
Yeah.
that can experience hardship and then push past that.
Yeah.
And then again, if you fail doing what you're doing, it still will kill the imposter syndrome because after you've done it enough times, even if you don't do it right, it's like, okay, well, now I know what to not do.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can
And a
apply
lot
that
of people
somewhere.
don't want to take that into consideration. Like so many people tell me in sales, like, bro, I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of it's like, bro, three little pieces of advice I'm gonna give you, and people who's listening, hypotheticals. You have got to understand that sales is only hard if you, one, don't believe in yourself or your product enough.
Yep.
Two, you do not make the effort to put your offer in front of people. You don't show up, you don't set up the calls, you don't hand people your business cards. And the third and most important thing is just the fact that you don't want to face whatever fear you have about this new thing you're trying to do.
Right. Yeah.
So, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing on the day you got laid off, what would that be, Will?
That this is a new journey. Like that would be the best way that I could like pep talk myself. It's a new journey. And I feel like I can go on about this in a lot of different ways. But I will say, and I want to speak back to one of your earlier podcasts, is I believe you had mentioned that when a new resolve comes up, like AI develops, a new problems comes from that. And I know I was reading something that was saying that most of the 500 Fortune 500 companies came through times of like desperation. The economy was in a terrible place. Like,
Yep,
so when there is like one problem, a potential resolve solution comes out of that. Like it can open up
exactly.
literally a whole new market for things. So I kind of put that frame of mindset for my own situation. I'm like, oh yeah, this might be what's going on, but now it also opens up new opportunities and even maybe ways in which I wasn't originally considering for myself in the beginning, right? Now that I have like
Yeah.
a new open lane, so to speak. So yeah, and I'll back a little bit too again on that last question in regards of just like, FOMO and like failure and all the things. One way to view failure is actually is data, is data points. So every
Yeah.
time that you get a rejection, every time, and I had a mentor tell me this, if a client, falls through, the deal falls through, ask them why. Like
Yeah.
and that
They'll
might
tell you
be,
why.
they'll tell you why. That might be literally the difference between that small piece of information, might be the difference between what you say on the next call, what you do on your product or your like that's data
Exactly.
points where you can
Data
say like
points, data
exactly.
points, data points. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a quick little lightning quiz, but before I get into that, it's so important to track numbers because one of the parts of my leadership pillar is KPI tracking. Followers of the podcast know what I'm talking about. You have to know your numbers and you have to understand if your numbers are subpar, you got to reverse engineer why. The numbers are going to tell you. And we have so many tools out there to help you decipher what the numbers mean if they're too complicated, because sometimes they can get very complicated for even the most advanced entrepreneurs. So don't feel bad because you don't understand all of your KPIs, but take the time to understand them. They are literally your map.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
I agree.
and so with that being said, in the last 5 little minutes of our meeting here, um, my pure gold framework, we're going to run you through it and see what you're doing good and what's missing. And
Let's
then
do it.
if you don't mind me coaching you for a little bit, and then,
That works.
okay, so what are your lead sources?
I would say right now it would be referrals. So I have like, I would say a semi-strong referral program. And then probably just like cold outreach right now and a little bit of socials.
A lot of manual work for
A
getting the
lot of,
leads.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
you
lot of
got you
manual.
got you got the hustler's lead source. I love
Yeah,
that. I get it because
right.
I'm a cold caller. I will call
Yeah,
you 10 times. I don't
right.
care. If you don't hang up on me, I'm not done talking to you yet.
Exactly.
Um, so lead capture, what does that look like?
So lead capture, you might have to school me a little bit on this one. So what I've currently been doing was kind of been working, getting some traction. It's just showing up in the spaces where I believe my clients are. So if
Hmm.
like some like discussion space online, or if there's like a newsletter or just little like specific nooks in the internet where I believe someone might be, I'll just hang out in there and just kind of talk about the value or my expertise, not in a salesy way, but just more so in a general, like, yeah, I get what you're going through. Maybe you could try this, blah, blah, blah. This is what I
Yeah.
specialize in, you know.
Yeah, so I like that. So here's where I will coach you. At that point, you're still talking about lead sources.
Yeah.
So lead capture is when you actually collect the prospect's first and last name. First name as a must. You collect their email, you collect their phone number. Anything else really is extra, but it mainly involves the first name, email, and phone number. What does that look like? Is
Currently,
it a
like in my
lot?
process.
Yeah, in your process.
Yeah. So, like in terms of how I'm doing that, it would probably be through socials. And I do have like a link tree that has all of my different, and I have like a freebie that I give away in exchange for like those things that you named. But
Mhm.
that's one thing that I am doing, and I feel like I could probably do a little bit better in terms of just promoting myself so that people can grow that curiosity to go over to those links and like
Yeah.
provide their
I
information.
understand that. Yeah, I mean, everybody, trust me, don't feel bad. There are so many entrepreneurs that do not have a formal lead capture. It's a very normal thing, but that's step two. So
Right.
that's something you'll want to get set up. And I mean, that's real
Gotcha.
simple. Just a landing page, your domain with a slug that'll say like start or begin or something I
Yeah.
recommend. And then
Right.
just put first, last name, email, they hit submit, they get emailed whatever the freebie is, and then there you go. You just got your lead capture in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, Follow up. So if you get this person's first name, email, phone number, how many times do you contact them, assuming they don't buy the first time?
Yeah, so how I've been running it here recently, interested to kind of hear your feedback on this is the first touch point is like a very subtle, like, hey, I qualify the lead in a sense of I try to make sure if they're like, are they a completely cold lead or are they like a semi, like a warm lead? So if
Hmm.
they're warm, and I pretty much use the same verbiage for cold, but if they're warm or cold, I'll say, hey, I expertise in this. Here's some of the work here. Let me know how I can support. Like maybe one or two sentences.
Yeah.
I try not to get too wordy for people. So then the second time, if I don't hear anything, I'll do like a week in between. And
Hmm.
then if it's the third time, I'll do like another week in between. So at that point, we're at 2 weeks. And then I'll just update them like, okay, follow up with this person in maybe like a month or 2 months or whatever, just to
Okay.
try to stay in their orbit. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want to stay in their orbit. I'm admittedly very aggressive about my marketing strategy. I will email you every day. I will call
Yeah.
you every day.
Right.
That just comes from being in business consulting and coaching.
Right.
I can say in confidence that there are a lot of business owners out there that need a business coach, whether they want to admit that or not.
Yeah.
So my job is like, no, here's what's going on. And whether you like it or not, this is what it has to be if you want to succeed. Again, I've sat in the room with people who run empires, and all of these people have, in their own way, have told me the same thing every single time over and over and over and over and over and over again. I could say it in my sleep.
Right.
So it's like you got to get those lead sources. You got that down packed. You just, we got to figure out a more scalable thing for you, but that will
Yeah,
definitely
for sure.
work. And then lead capture, you I would say for qualifying the lead for you, I would say your lead capture should probably be like some kind of a quiz. Because then you'll
Yeah.
not only get their information, but then you'll actually be able to qualify them and they could just do
Yeah.
that
I like that.
automated, that's scalable. And then
Yeah.
follow up. The average prospect will probably wait like maybe before 6 or 7 interactions before they actually will get on a call and try to purchase something from you. You like you said, you gotta stay top of mind. Like
Yeah.
you can't give them much chance to breathe. Don't be annoying, but like I will send you at least one email every day, at least
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then because that's enough to where they will see you every day in some context, and then it's not aggressive enough to where they go on their email and they're getting like 7 emails in one day. Don't do that. That's too much.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and then make sure you like segment emails so people aren't getting like the same emails for different groups. That could take a little bit of process, but that's neither here nor there. So pitching your services, how do you like let's say I'm interested. How
Yeah.
do you sell me your offer?
Yeah, so this is like on a clarity, like a discovery call. Like once
Mm-hmm.
I actually got the client on the phone. Yeah, so I have three main questions, and I had to learn this, like again, over and over and over again to really get it. I feel like I've kind of gotten the science down to it. I believe there's a science to it. So I have three questions that allows the client to open up about who they are, who they serve, and how what my services fit into that. And then second question is somewhere usually around like pain points. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is it that you're having the most issues with in your business? And then lastly, I go into how my services can solve that, and I just connect the bridge. So
Yeah.
I'll get really like specific and niche. So if they tell me like, oh, we're not seeing this many signups for this reason and that reason, we believe once it gets to me in that final stage of the conversation, like I'll already have my sales deck up, my pitch deck up, and I will like reiterate back to them what they literally just said to me.
Yup.
So I'll say, so you told me that you're not seeing any signups here, so this process will actually help address that so that we can get more signups. As you mentioned, like keywords, like as you
Yeah.
mentioned, or I believe you said this, right? So, and I think it really helps people to feel like heard because at the end of the day,
Yes.
these people just want their problem solved.
They just
And
want their problem solved. Yep.
yeah,
And that's something else that will help people with their sales objections is just, dude, if you go into a business and your goal is to more so than make money help people, I
Yeah,
promise you, you will make more sales because
I
people
agree.
can tell when
Yep.
you actually want to help them
Yeah.
versus you're just trying to say whatever you
Read a
need to
script.
say to make the money.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then with that being said, because yes, then the people who do mean it, I do want to help you. This is where a lot of them fall off, these questions for you. So let's say I say, yes, I want to sign up for your services. How do you onboard me as a client?
Yeah, so I remember you had an episode about this, and I felt a bit called out in some of it. And since then, I've made some iterations to the process. But what it looks like is, so if I get, sometime I'll get like a verbal yes over the phone, but I think this might be a little bit of a sales tactic. So the first call is really just like clarity. Is it a good match? Like, does it make sense? And if they give me at the end of that call, they're like, yeah, let's move forward. Like, I confirm that they're good to go, then I say, okay, well, let's get a 30-minute, touch base on the proposal next week. Like, when can you do
Yeah.
that? So just like capture their time for the next step. Because I found it that people feel more like accountable, like they don't forget about you. Like, I've sent so many elaborate proposals via email
Yeah.
and people will ghost me. So hopefully someone hears that and they take that and they implement it. But secondly, if someone says yes, let's go ahead, we get on the second call. Basically on that call we would kind of go through proposal stuff, and then from there I would send the actual contract and the first invoice, make it very clear on what they can expect. They'll review it, they'll sign. From there, they get like a welcome email that's pretty in depth of like next steps. So I
Hmm.
provide them like, hey, I have a client portal. This is where we're going to share files and have live chat and all the things.
Yeah. I
Here's on the
like
list.
that. I like
So
that.
yeah, and then once they're in there, which is a super simple process, that's where like the more deeper steps into like our first 30 days of working together is going to live. So
I like
it's
that.
taken, yeah, it's definitely taken some time, and I feel like it's still growing and iterating, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. And so now let's talk into the next point because that just transitions cleanly. You mentioned the first 30 days. So, service delivery, what does that 30 days look like? This is your opportunity to pitch your services to all of my listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the first 30 days, well, first I really want to be clear on what we do, and so everyone understands.
Absolutely.
So, my name is Will. I'm founder of Liaison Community Management, and we build online communities for mid-size to enterprise association level organizations that want to go deeper with their audience or their stakeholders. We also help content creators in that. And pretty much what that means is we're like a more sophisticated level of like Facebook groups, more sophisticated level of like Slack or Discord, where you own the
Hmm.
platform, and we help you build that out for a greater return of your investment. So that's what we do. And what the first 30 days is going to look like, almost as any like project management, is going to be really getting clear on your goals and what tools do we need and how can we get there. Like, we really want to make sure that we understand who you are and what you're trying to do and how it fits into your business model, and then what things do we need from either end to make that happen. So sometimes my clients, they'll have like an extravagant idea of like, oh, I want to, in my community, I want to be able to provide like templates of like downloadable templates. Well, it's okay. The question for me is going to be, okay, why and how is that really going to help the people in your community be successful? So like really
Right.
just getting clear, onboarding, of course, but after we get them onboarded, it's going to really focus on like, what are we building here and why would people want to be a part of it? And then that kind of just sets the tone for the next like phases into the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love that. And then last but not least, how so I said yes, we just completed our 30 days. I love what the work you've done for me. I want to continue working with you. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, in terms of like retainer, so the commonality, the problem that we've seen is people they get really excited about building these online community spaces that they control. There's no algorithms. It's fully white label, like it's their entire space.
Hmm.
The problem is they don't have either the capacity or the know-how how to run the space properly.
Yeah.
And that's where it turns into a retainer service. So pretty much what that's going to be, based off the groundwork that we've already laid and built, and the structure is, we would come in, our team would come in and make sure that it is like running and meeting the goals and the vision that you initially have for it, right?
Yeah.
With our client not feeling any burnout, with our client not feeling any confusion or just making decisions based off a hunch.
Yeah.
We come in as the experts that guide, and we try to like lead you to the promised land. And we try to make it as seamless as possible because that's what we've learned. Like people really just want to get to the outcome as quickly as possible, and we try to make that happen reasonably. So that's what a retainer will look like. It'll be another like additional like 90 days where we're figuring out what KPIs matter, what doesn't matter, what's wrong, what can we fix, what's working, what can we double down on, and kind of just continue the service from there.
Yeah. And retention and upsells are so important. There's so
Yeah,
many entrepreneurs that we talked about it a little bit before the meeting of they get that first client, they complete the project, and then that's it. You never hear from that client again.
yeah,
The problem that a lot of these customers are going to have is, okay, my problem is solved, but now I have this problem because this problem got solved.
yes,
So a lot of the advice I'll give entrepreneurs is when you have that first front end offer, especially if your goal is to scale or at least make your business high revenue, because there are some entrepreneurs out there. Like I'm an entrepreneur that believes in scale. I want my business to be a true asset. It can grow independent of me and my input on the business. Some entrepreneurs do not have that mindset, and that is okay too. We're here to help those entrepreneurs as well. Because if you are okay with actually doing the business yourself, you need to make sure that you set up systems to where you are able to make repeat money. So at the very minimum, you already have to give so much time to your business. Try to figure out a way to reduce looking like client churn. And a lot of the client churn that you can fix is by simply just having a retainer service where people that already know you, like you, and trust you can continue to buy from you. The businesses that truly scale, I mean, look at stuff like Netflix and Uber and all these software as a
yeah,
service
exactly.
providers. The reason they can make the amount of money they can make almost overnight is the fact that they have something they can sell one time. You just have to program it that one time, and they have to pay a license to have access to it all the time.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know,
exactly.
and probably in your hemisphere of offers, that's something that I'm sure community managers have a lot of experience helping people with, is making sure that these people that engage with your community are actually going to stay in it. That's just
Yeah,
providing more value and being consistent. Like you said, show up every day, even when they've bought. That's how you keep them. Show up
yeah.
every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree totally. Yeah. And it's, a lot of things obviously are going subscription based in terms of like business model. But if you are able to figure out something, like if you're an entrepreneur listening, it's your first time doing this, if you are able to figure out something scalable, I would highly encourage that. But
Yeah.
also just don't be scared to kind of get your feet wet and try different things, fail your way to success. Like
Yeah.
takes time, but once it hits, like when I got my first client, oh, I was over the moon. Like
Yep.
I couldn't believe, I spent so many nights transparently, like trying to learn and like understand the craft and
Yeah.
like YouTube video over YouTube video. And then it's like, wow, I actually have money in my account now from something that
Yeah.
I decided to stick to from like 3 years ago on YouTube. Like it completely
Yeah, that
changed my
first
life.
every entrepreneur out here that is listening to this podcast right now can understand and resonate with the very first sale. It does not matter if the first sale was $1,
Exactly.
$1,000,
Yep.
or $1 million. That
Exactly.
first sale, that's like drugs, dude.
It is.
Straight
Because
up drugs. Because
yeah,
then you want more.
exactly. And it's like, I had several moments where it kind of like hit me, but the first time it happened, my first client, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm sitting at the time at my job, and we're in some like retreat learning all this stuff, and I'm like looking at my account, and I got this notification. I'm like, it's Tuesday, and I just got paid literally what it takes me a month and a half.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, this is real, and it just really wakes you up even more of like, I just got to keep going.
Yeah, because that mindset shift, the imposter syndrome,
Yeah,
again, that first sale will do a lot of killing of the imposter syndrome, because once you get that first payment, that is true validation that someone out there saw your product, took all of the steps necessary because they believed in you, and they made the purchase. Your job at that point is to deliver on the promise you made to that person, which, if you set up your business in a way that you can deliver at a high level consistently,
Yeah.
you really should not have any other problem besides just getting more attention.
Yeah, and and my thing is I wouldn't even get too hung up on numbers, like even if it was a dollar to $1,000. It just shows the real thing to really because money is easy to make. Like it's
Yeah,
simple to make, right? In theory. But between the difference of like the thousand or a thousand, like $1, it's just you're giving someone value, like you're literally solving someone's problem. And you, as the entrepreneur listening to this, you should feel really just proud about that and just really just be in the moment because I knew like, oh, this is my first time ever making money off of like my first client. I just wanted to soak it in, like because it like
yeah,
I've signed other people since then, and I'm super appreciative every time. But that first
exactly.
time, like it's just like opens the gates of just like a whole new world. So really just
Yeah,
enjoy that first
exactly.
time. Even if it's like a digital product and you made like 20 bucks off of it, that means it's real. That
Yeah,
means you can make 20 grand. Yeah.
absolutely. Exactly. All right, Will. So I appreciate you once again being on the show. It was so good to catch up with you, man. You and me are definitely going to have to work on some projects, and we'll take that offline and we'll figure that out. But I got to get going because I got my next agenda for today.
Cool.
So it's good to see you, Will.
You as well.
All
We'll
right.
stay connected.
Until
Thanks
next,
for having me.
yeah, there's no problem. Until next time. All right.
All right, sounds good. All right,
All
Joe. I'll
right.
see you.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Peace.